Hey guys, this is Mike Morrell from Cave Academy. I was the coach for Mikey Gonzalez as he faced Oliver Taza in round 1 of EBI 19. He came into the gym about a week and a half before this, and we'd been working on some leg lock defense, thankfully, because with 2 days' notice, we flew down to Cancun, and our first match was against one of the best leg lockers on the planet. So we had some stuff to go on. In the brief time that we got to prepare, we scouted him a little bit, and we saw a little bit of what he likes to do. So let's take a look at this. The first entanglement that he ends up in, or the first attempt, is basically a false reap. So if you watch, when Mikey stands up, Taza's right hand on the side is going to come to scoop the Achilles, and he wants to take this left hand, drop his knee down, and grab behind Mikey's right knee. If he can grab both of those grips, grabbing at the Achilles and grabbing behind the hamstring here, then he's going to be able to pummel the left foot in front and start working into his false reap. Now, Mikey's doing a good job of defending that by, if you watch, he gets the first grip, but he can't get to the knee. So he does a little inversion here, and we'll see this in slow motion in a second. And he tries to pummel over the top. But Mikey does a pretty good job of keeping the false reap away, not allowing him to get his foot inside the far hip. So we'll see this in slow motion in just a second. So right here, he stands up, first grip is enabled, but he can't just enter in and take the left hand to grab the hamstring because Mikey's controlling it. So instead he inverts, which could lead to any number of leg locks. I mean, the guy's a wizard with this stuff. So from right here, he comes through there, but as he turns back over, Mikey's always monitoring, making sure this foot cannot go in front for the false reap, and also making sure that this hand, his left hand, is not catching the back of his knee. So Taza goes, and he has the grip here now, where his left hand is behind the knee, and he has the Achilles, but Mikey does a good job of blocking that space and not allowing him to get his foot into the far hip. So there's a little bit more of an exchange here, and you can see Taza almost has what he needs for the false reap. He backs out a little bit to remove his left foot and maybe be able to enter into kind of a back step cross ashi, but Mikey just does a good job of keeping good distance. As they come back down into this shin on shin position, Mikey's keeping this leg laced around the outside of the leg, which is making it, again, very difficult for him to enter in for that cross ashi position. This is going to become relevant really soon after this. Now, I also wanted to mention something here. The people announcing were all wondering why Mikey kind of blew his nose or spit. He was spitting. And if you watch this entanglement, as he sits back down, watch Taza's left foot. When he tries to pummel it over the top, boom, kicked him right in the mouth. So that's why Mikey stopped for a second, and he went off to go spit right here. So he walks away. It looks like he's wanting to blow his nose, but he was spitting blood out, kicked in the teeth. So now from here, they enter into the entanglement again. Because Mikey was doing a good job before, this is some genius stuff. I really like this entry from Taza. So Taza ends up, if you notice where his knee is at right now, they're in shin on shin. His knee is on this side, which means that it's pretty obvious that if Mikey doesn't do a good job of keeping his weight forward over this direction, and this collar tie is doing a good job of defending as well, he's going to be able to kind of rock him into a basic shin on shin and shoot into an Irimi Ashigarami or a single leg X position, right? But because Mikey's stopping that, this is where some really cool stuff happens from Taza. Attacks both knees, then he rolls backwards into a deep half entry, rolling into outside ashi. So watch this again. He's got the knee on the top side, so if he is able to extend, he'll get that single leg X, but he decides to sit up, pressures in like he's shooting a double leg, and as he pressures in, now he takes kind of a, this is straight up like Jeff Glover style entry into deep half. So watch. Slides back. He's entering in like he's going to deep half, and he just pendulums this leg around, back rolls, and catches him an outside ashi. Now, right off the bat, his initial reaction has to be to pull this leg out into a position where he can catch the outside heel, but also he has to start turning it so that Mikey's knee ends up going across this line. If his knee goes across this line, he'll get heel exposure. So he does manage to free the leg, and you can see the use of his knee here. But in this position, Mikey's doing a good job of keeping his knee to the outside. Now watch this. We'll see it in slow motion in a second. but it's this constant forward pressure and raising the hip that Mikey's doing that's keeping Taza down on his shoulder, which is making it very difficult to actually catch and extend the heel. So you see here again, he's forced to transition, and Mikey again makes a good transition to keeping him down on his shoulder. From this point, you see the slip, and he comes out. But now, in slow motion, wants to get the heel exposure. Mikey's keeping him down. You see the right hand is on the tricep right now, which is cool. It restricts the movement. But from right here, he goes to the hip. From the hip, he's able to raise his hip up and drive forward. He's just keeping that weight on that shoulder. So now Taza's doing, this is the classic one from John Danaher's original leg lock series, where he's going to roll underneath, and as he gets his head between his knees, he's going to try to switch to cross ashi, which is precisely what we were drilling last week, just by coincidence, before we knew about this. So now from here, Mikey keeps that knee on the outside line. This time Taza gets a catch on the heel, and he puts the pressure in, but Mikey's still doing a good job of keeping him down on that shoulder. He gets the hand inside the chest, and he pulls, and he's able to slip the heel eventually. Keeps him down on the shoulder, and the heel slips out. It's a little disengagement here. And now, as we enter into this position, Mikey's leg is very straight, which is not ideal for attacking from an outside ashi position. You really want that knee to be bent. It's a twisted knee lock. You want that to be bent just like you would on a kimura. He has a great catch on the heel. So Mikey's ankle is a little bit swollen today. He was complaining at practice, so I think we know why. At this point, if you watch Mikey's defense, he was separating the feet initially, but he gets his foot kind of behind his hamstring here. It is dubious. I don't know where his foot is actually right now, but his leg is so straight that he's able to create a little bit of tension and release and kind of extend himself away. So now we kind of skipped ahead a little bit. I skipped ahead to the next leg lock here. So if you watch this, this is a drastic difference, and it's related to what we already talked about. Separating the feet, escapes, and now watch this. This is later on. Taza wrestles up. He comes in, and he drops right into that same deep half entry. But this time, watch how Mikey, he thought of this in the heat of the moment. That was beautiful what he just did. See if you can tell what he caught there. Let's see in slow motion. Same entry. This really speaks to Mikey's instinct, because it's not something I think he had time to really think about. He was defending heel hooks the whole time, so it's not like he had time to think, hey, next time he throws for this deep half entry, the leg over the top, I'm going to catch it and scoop grip it. So watch. This time he rolls through. He's going to do the back step, and Mikey scoop grips that knee. He keeps the foot on this side of his head, not allowing outside ashi. This allows him to counterattack, and he shoots to his own outside ashi. Now he pummels over, and when we get here, I mean, check it. He's coming up to catch the heel. So the graphics are getting really shady. But he gets to a decent position to catch the heel. But I think Mikey was very cognizant of how good Oliver is with his leg lock. So he counters, but immediately you can kind of see Mikey shifting his hips away and just saying, you know what? Let's just get the hell out of here. I don't think I want to stay here and exchange the leg locks there. So one more time on this transition. I just really like how Mikey did this. Catches the foot, keeps it on this side, reattacks, and makes, I think, a pretty intelligent decision here. He does expose the heel, but I'll be real with you. I think if you have the perfect catch on an outside heel hook here, as once at a Gary Tonin seminar, and he showed us how to escape outside heel hooks with a slip, and he said to us, I asked him, oh, so I won't break my knee if I do that? He said, well, you're going to eat a few pops, but you'll be all right, which is some psycho shit to me. So in any case, from right here, I don't think that you're going to tap Oliver Taza. I don't think you're probably ever going to see anyone tap Oliver Taza with an outside heel hook, and it hasn't happened to my knowledge. I'm not a complete scholar on it, but I think it's a pretty good bet that if you have a really decent outside heel hook on Oliver Taza in a situation like EBI with a lot of money on the line, I don't think he's tapping to that outside heel hook. I think he knows well enough that he's just going to eat whatever pops happen, and he's going to transition out and attack you. So Mikey makes a good decision to bail here, in my opinion. Now, at this point, this is where the match shifts. And I think this is a mental shift that we've seen Taza make in some other matches as well against people who have decent leg lock defense. He's thrown him through the gambit of all of these outside attacks. He's put him through the false reaps. None of them really worked for him. So in this case, I think he decides, all right, I'm going to wrestle up. I'm going to put him on bottom, put pressure on him, and get him to start exposing inside heel hooks and attacking from the top where it's hard to pummel and hard to run away. So I skipped through a lot of this stuff. I'm not trying to give away a whole bunch of stuff that we watched about Taza's game. This is just the final transition. He's up here in the full mount. He backsteps from here into cross ashi. And now from here, I'm just going to let it run through. I'm not going to do a whole study on this for you guys. He gets the feet separate. It's a pinned position. Mikey, you can see on his face, he didn't quite know what to do in this spot in terms of defending. And from there, he's able to use his head as a wedge and drop into the inside heel hook. Which, smart decision, because that's a hell of an inside heel hook, you know. Excellent match for both of these guys. Taza was really, really cool after the match and gave Mikey a lot of compliments. So it was a great opportunity and a great time for all of us to have that experience. So we're going to go back to the drawing board on this, and we're going to look at it, and we'll be back for the next EBI. I think we're coming up in June. So take a look at that, guys. Let me know what you thought.